Welcome back to all our audience, all the folks that watch Einstein's Eyes. I'm your co-host, Carl Rosen. I'm an oculoplastic surgeon and neuro-ophthalmologist in Anchorage, Alaska, at Ophthalmic Associates. My co-host, friend, and former co-resident at Albert Einstein is John Didkoff. John?
Hi, all. I'm John. I'm a general ophthalmologist specializing in cornea for over 30 years in northern New Jersey. Carl and I both trained in New York, hence Albert Einstein, where we trained, hence Einstein's Eyes. And I'm excited to hear about this topic today.
Yes, thank you, John. So today we have a guest who's going to talk about transforming the healthcare technology landscape, Sabrina Runbeck. Sabrina is a really interesting woman. She's the CEO and founder of PulsePoint Path. Sabrina is a physician assistant and has a Master of Public Health. And we're excited to have her, and we'd like to hear from Sabrina. So instead of me talking, Sabrina, tell us about your bio, your background, and your journey into creating this really interesting company.
Thanks, guys. And hi, John. Hi, Carl, and everyone listening. I think all of us have that journey of what do we start with. That's not necessarily where we're going to end up with. And I also have the belief of there's really never retirement. Even for people who chase early retirement, you just simply refocus your energy to the true passion that you wanted to go after instead of the path that you created. And that's what I believe what we're talking about today is that I used to be that typical busy bee coming from an Asian family and definitely fortunate to have multiple family members who are in all different industries, medical, attorney, business, government. So I get to have the multidimensional experience of what do I want to do. And the lucky thing of any Asian family out there, typically the girls from my grandparents' generation is still get a good job, marry off, have kids, have things set up for you. You should be on the right track. And for me, that rebellious side of me is like, no, heck no. And so I got on the journey of multiple master degrees, public health, PA, got into medicine, and I really didn't find anything interesting but heart surgery. So I dove right into vascular cardiac transplant. And of course, for me, it's never about settling. It's always what can we do more and better and easier for everyone instead of the typical revolving door in healthcare, no matter it's anybody, whether it's a system level, a physician level, it's just constant change. And so how can we make sure that what we are chasing is growth? And on top of once we start growing, what we want is sustainability. And it seems to be like if I can continue to get there instead of the roller coaster that most of us do, no matter if you are in business, running your practice, launching your innovation company, or you are part of the organization that you have devoted yourself to, I got into feeling like just pushing it, just a little work harder doesn't necessarily will just get you there because the brute force of the traditional mentality of just working more, it will never push us that way because that's the constant concept of, oh, if you want to just do something, just jump in. If you just jump in, like you're jumping out of the airplane, you know how to build a parachute going down. But we know if there's nothing that's going to catch you, right, we're going to smash our face on something. And that's not pretty for anybody, right? And that's how I got through it, where I was one of those busy bees. I got to the point where I was working 80 plus hours and I was on call all the time. And when you're in facilities that are good, that can keep up with you, and they will continue to book the next surgery, the next patient, the next consult, and you become busier and busier. And guess what the admin people say? That is so great that you can do all that. Why do you need help? If you can handle it, and we have the reputation here, people would just come to us. Is that really true? We've seen that in business that people who are very high functional and they complain that nobody can do what they can do. I need a second best hand just to be exactly like me. And my question always go back to all the founders I work with is to say, well, you're burning out or you're on the edge. Do you really want anybody to be exactly like you that are burning out? Then you have to replace someone again. And we all know costing us at least twice as much expense to hire someone and fire someone and replace someone. And so that's the point of where we got to right now is this energy, this creative side of healthcare. We have a lot of people who want to create changes. And there's a lot of people start looking into the gaps. And there are $1 billion spending on these new technology improvements. But do we really know who are the true drivers, the right innovations behind the change? Or we bought into the excitement of the initial thing, like we went on the first day, right? People it's like, oh, this is amazing, right? Like this is novelty, is exciting. But then it's crickets. There's not enough thought through of what this relationship is. That means your product haven't really been able to communicate in a way that people would say, I want to be your champion for the long haul. Let's do something together. Instead of this sounds good, I don't even know what this is, but good luck. Right? I think we have too many of sounds good, good luck, and that's why people feel the stall. That's why they feel like they pour in a heart and soul into something and still doesn't get anywhere. So I have gone through the journey of just being a provider, being the public health and the cardiac side, and start pivoting into what does it mean to make sure that my people actually enjoy. And if this is not meant for them, and it's okay if we can predict that much sooner, so now we're not getting into, oh, someone just left us. And now we left with all these extra work. And then how do we then actually grow, feel self-motivated, and continue to move forward? So that's how I got into helping startups to talk about storytelling, getting buy-ins. What does the investor actually want? Is there a relationship behind it? What does clinician actually want? And don't make us feel like your technology, your solution, just adding more work for us, right? What does the patient actually want? The caregiver. How do we make the ecosystem actually is collaborative but work together? And ultimately, that's the big question, right? All of the solution out there. And so now we're able to create what's called a 5-dimensional view to have that maximum leader. And we know at the end of the day, what most people build is they're very physical focused, right? Oh, I can know your financial traction. I know what product service you're creating. And I know the legal parameter FTA, right? It's easy for us to conceptualize, especially we're a scientific brain, right? Database brain. But beyond that, that concept would need to take a lot more to explain. But what they're missing is what we call the emotional side of the business and the team. That means the story, the mission. How do you communicate in a way that people got excited and behind you, right? And most of us are not trained public speakers. Most of us are not trained to be leaders. And then what else is need to be there? The spiritual, the energetic side of the business means the soul, right? That's human capital. The people who's leading, the people who are helping you every day. How do you make sure people are, even from your customer, have amazing journey from the beginning to the end? So you retain and then you repeat. That is what we say the basic 3 dimension of physical, emotional, and spiritual. And on top of that, then we start laying on additional tools to create a holistic way of that business can actually be resilient and sustainable and viable.
So Sabrina, that's very interesting. I wanted to show our audience the PulsePoint Path logo to give them an idea of your company so they can go identify it and take a look at it on the web. You have a number of really interesting, powerful programs, the 72-point SWOT, the Book of You, the Genius Zone. Can you talk about some of those programs and how they help companies and executives grow their market or improve on their innovation?
We really created things that layer into each other. So from the beginning, we wanted to see what stand out because even you're the best solution, if no one know about you, then we're hidden. And we need to have more people, whether they are investors, decision makers, or end customers, to actually get warm up to the solution. And the easiest way is get in front of people who already want it, right? We all know sales, if you're cold pitching, emailing, no matter what, the conversion is about 5 to 20% tops. But if you go to the people who are already aware of what they wanted, they're curious about it, or they really need a solution, guess what? That conversion goes from 50 to 80%. So of course, with the most effective time of use of our resources is going after the warm and hot contact. How do we do that? We put people on a game show because we believe in creating fun and lightness. And that's why we have what's called health tech growth. And each month there's a theme. So March is lining with Women's History Month. It's women's health and fintech focus. So now the judging panel are active investors and system leaders who care about these solutions. Therefore, people don't have to pitch everywhere, right? There's so many different hospital systems. If you're trying to adapt your solution into the area that's not even in a quarterly plan, then you're going to get pushed down. Instead of the hospital or the investors who actually actively invest in this area or already have done it, then it's much easier. And we don't just put you on stage and good luck, figure things out. We actually put people through a boot camp that has helped you to optimize your script, your camera stage presence, and strategize in what is the best angle that you want to go from here and even go forward. People who have an innovation, you have a great solution, and then you want it to be heard and get multiple press releases sent to you, then apply to be one of the contestants for Health Tech Showdown. Now, for people who already just wanted to have their solo feature, they are not necessarily need to be close the deal, right? Which is the purpose of the previous thing, get more funding so you can get more deal closed. Then we want you to show up as one of our speakers for Provider Edge, where we've been running the show for more than 5 years, have more than 300 shows published, large audience, ranked top 5% across globally of all podcast shows, and where we're actually represented as media in all major healthcare conferences. And that's what the power of media is get you then message out to multiple people. But it's really depend on where you are at. Do you want to start just simply get your message out everywhere versus would you want it to be very intentional to be in front of people that only care about ophthalmology, only care about remote care, only care about mental health, what that passion of yours really truly focus on. Now, what else is there? We have the book of you retreat that really tie back to our leadership maximizer program. So we do it two ways. Some people really say, hey, Sabrina, I don't have time to take off 4 days to unplug and go away, even though I know I need it. But how about you just work with our time frame and do everything virtually? And we know that can be done. So we have been working with some of the most amazing people in the field of leadership and self-conscious understanding of how do we communicate. So level one is we communicate with our body, our head, our how we sit straight, how we lean forward, how we make eye contact. And guess what? 50% of the people in the world, they don't like to make eye contact. So it's not that they're rude, they're not stare at you when they talk to you, they're just very cerebral. And therefore, they can be someone that you don't feel bad that their communication style and then perception is different from yours. So what we've seen is with the body of 9 is testing the physical body of 3 in the head, 3 in the chest, 3 in the abdomen. People start understanding what they're born with. And then we layer into the mental side. How now is foundation who we are, what we're born with physically. Now, how does the society shape us from a mental side, leveraging positive psychology, their nine category of why we're such high achievers, but things that still feel icky and slow us down and we sabotage our own success. And it's because we have to retrain our brain. So there are major pharmaceutical companies adapting these exercises even within 4 weeks. They are seeing sales has increased by 37% because we're not holding ourselves back. Of course, we can produce more results. And then now after physical baseline, psychological, social, what else? Who are we as a person, right? What do we meant to do? You start seeing people go on career paths or open businesses because they sound good. And they jump on board with another co-partner, open up the practice, open up a tech company. And then a year or two, things doesn't quite work out, people split. Well, it's because that's not what they meant to do on Earth. That's not who they truly are. That's not their purpose. And half the time, people haven't even discovered what their purpose and their core value. So they're just joining for the ride. And that means when they're not truly aligned, they have their one foot out of the door all the time. And if you have team members, leaders, executive, co-founders who are not truly aligned with who you are, you're always going to have friction no matter what. And what we're seeing is people take hours after hours to have meetings, still can't get to a decision. And what we can do is once we screen that, we're cutting down those critical decision meetings by 75%. And that means what? You can go into implementation that much faster. You can get to your result that much faster. So the third layer is your spiritual core of who you are as a purposefully person. And now what? Now is who do we train, right? We gone to school. We have all this many years of expertise. Now at the foundational level, some of us are truly captains, right? We're driver, we're innovator. But some of us are really good at planning, strategizing. So we do need a dynamic. And then just because you're good at strategizing, not necessarily you're good at what? Implementing. So we also needed to have the doers in our company to actually carry things out on the timely matter so we can deliver a satisfying result for our patients, for the rest of the people. But even we're just doing really a lot of good work, what business always want is marketing and sales. If we don't have the people that's our microphone champion for us, we're going nowhere. So there's a quadrant of these four, and there's actually 16 profile because there are actually other people that are able to go individualist and everywhere to fill the gap. So we also now layer onto not only who we are as a physical being, how our psychological, our environment have shaped us in how we support ourselves or sabotage ourselves. And then who we are as a purposeful being as we start thinking the physical and mental side of us. And then layer into the skill set of who we are. That's the fourth dimension. And guess what? The fifth dimension is start putting all together to be the most resilient being. And resilience, when we work with our resilience professor, what the key things were measured are three of them. Number one, space. So think about if you are the ones like me who like to hike and you're at the beach or on the mountaintop, you're putting a little fire together, right? There's great oxygen, the fire can get going and you're feeling the warmness. But if we replace that fire into an enclosed room, and that room barely have any oxygen and the flow of air, the fire is gonna die down pretty quickly. So if we don't give ourselves the space, we cannot function, we cannot be innovative, right? And that few of us are actually going to track down our motivation. So we have to, number one is how do you measure space? How do you create more space in your life? How do you, that for some people means boundary. Would you allow yourself to have fun when you wanted to? And I also call that freedom, the freedom from people, things, activity, financial, and time, right? And then the second thing we say, what's truly sustainability measured by is health. We are in healthcare. We are about wellness. If we don't know how to embody our own health, how do you share with other people? How do you lead a change? And it's also necessarily just healthy self. It's that the whole entire flow. There's the organizational competency, easiness to your entire team, to interaction with their customers. And then third thing is lightness, joy. Like, do you feel like you're still having fun? And it's fun is out of the window, and you tell yourself, I'll have fun, in another 3 years when I actually build a company to 10 billion, right? Whatever that number, magic number makes sense to you. And if we're just chasing that, we're actually going back to what? The mental sabotaging of telling ourselves, I have to achieve something before I feel the earnest that I can have. So that's how we put everything together in this five-dimensional way and put together book of you. So book of Carl, book of Sabrina, book of John. So people can truly understand who we are from all five level of foundation and give them a manual that everybody else can read about them. Instead of the business manual about the business, we say we have an executive leadership manual. So everybody know how you function, how your body deactivate when you're stressed, tip off, how you are tend to naturally understand things. So when things don't go well and people need to apologize to you, do they even know how? And it's not just saying sorry, because most of us don't see I'm sorry as enough. There are five categories of them, just like the five love languages. So from those, that's how we can resist the temptation of giving up when it's too hard or pushing too hard, then we push ourselves over the edge and go into burnout. We can actually create this viable, sustainable, and fun environment that is helping both the leader team and our entire customer base, our patients, to gain the joy that they're meant to be. And so that's where we find the most fun and most innovative things to do, how we create bigger impact as all of us who are leaders.
John, was there anything that hit you?
I mean, I think it's really a nice approach to not just, like you said, putting your head down and going to work and just not looking up and thinking about all the other aspects. I mean, I think it's psychological. It's everything. It's important for family. It's not just important for work. But yeah, no, it's very impressive.
Thank you for sharing your insights. Thank you for joining us on Einstein's Eyes. And was wondering if you had anything for our audience. Where can they contact you? How can they get a hold of PulsePoint?
We are super active on LinkedIn. I have a weekly newsletter that we send out a quick 5 minutes of a summary of what this week's topic, and usually generating from our own podcast providers Edge, as well as when we put people on the stage to spotlight them. And we are also have various activities with free resources on our website. And one of them is called your impact quotient, because we all believe we're creating impact. And no matter what niche you're in. So do you understand there are actually 12 different categories of impact that truly help to synchronize what you do and help you to move forward? And find out what those 5 point system out of the 12 categories. And that's the free resources. Go to impactquotientquiz.com.
Sabrina, thanks. Thank you. Thank you for being here. John, thanks again. And to our audience, if you found value, please like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.